Well, hello and welcome. I'm Sue Britz,
And I'm Tina Lokkbakk. Welcome to Retired.
the podcast where we talk about what life is like when we put on new tread, new wheels that move us to our next adventure.
So it sounds like you've got a little adventure and I have a little adventure, and we're venturing into the world of technology and the beauty and the blessing of it all.
Yeah, we're venturing in technology. I'm switching over to a different laptop, and I'm trying to transfer information and get things to work together. And we've had some bugs with our software, and the software connecting with our Mixcast. It's I'm just trying to get it all settled. This is kind of what New Year's about, is cleaning house, right? Getting things set up, cleaning house. Have you been doing that too?
Organizing.
Yeah,
Oh my
after
God.
after
Absolutely,
your
I have.
visit, all your traveling back and forth, and then we had visitors and stuff. It's you go through the house, you go through and clean the sheets, make the beds,
Mhm.
hang things on the walls that need to be hung. If you had any presents, you need to figure out what you're going to do with these things and get rid of the old. Yeah, housekeeping, technology. It's fun. New start for the new year with
It
with
is
new tread.
with new tread. Yes.
So what were you saying? You started talking about something
So,
before we went on.
well, as you know, since the Cuba thing has been put on hold, so has my website, right? So now I'm having to redesign a brand new website.
If correct me if I'm wrong, is that you had a dream in the past to do this, and you've been working towards putting together a tour to Cuba and cultural exchange, and you're kind of
Correct.
shifting over to now a new model because things have changed.
Things have radically changed and ended. And so, right, I have had to put this Cuba tour thing on hold until the safety of the country for diseases is safe.
Well, not
So it
only
could be
diseases, but
forever.
political too. I mean, my gosh.
Well, that's a whole other arena, but I don't feel physically safe or unsafe, politically over there. That's not a problem. But maybe financially, because Trump did mention he would fine us if we went over there for tourism reasons. But
Oh, but Tina, in the news, I mean, now Cuba is being threatened with the same thing that Venezuela had. I mean, you've heard this, right?
well, yes, in fact, that's been our topic of conversation. That's how we started off the morning, talking about what Venezuelan oil impacts have on Cuba. And then Maria pointed out this huge lie that the ambassador of Cuba in Venezuela said that there were in fact no Cubans in Venezuela. Yet the Cuban news report and BBC, in fact, says no, 32 Cubans were there and they were killed in this whole thing.
Oh,
So,
geez.
so we've been talking, interestingly enough, about could this help Cuba? But the problem is, you see, Cuba has nothing. It used to have sugar, but it doesn't have the resources, and therefore, no one's going to bother with Cuba. Like, Trump's not going to want to invade and help Cuba because what has he got to gain,
What do you mean
right?
help? I mean, you think that when he goes into another country, takes their leader, it's to help that country?
No, well, no, that's not his mission, but I
Uh,
think by default it might help. Now, will it destroy the environment and all of that? Probably, but economically, I think it would help. I think it could help.
we're talking Venezuela?
We are talking Venezuela, but the thing is, I don't know that it's going to be possible because they also have no infrastructure. They also are in an economic crisis. So that's what our discussion was this morning is if their road systems are horrible, right? And they don't have a way to get all these things transferred and around, then we're having to establish with our US dollars an entire country to get it up and running to even make it economically viable. And that's where I think insanity begins because I don't even think it can.
Well, the United States is not going in there to help, and they don't even have a military base or an embassy for that matter there. And they're going to quote run it. I mean, this is ridiculous. Let alone going into another country, invading that country too, and doing a strike during the night and taking
It's
their
so shockingly unbelievable, but
and
since I
yet
am very
believable. Yeah.
but since I am truly I don't have the certificates on my wall, but I am very, very aware of what his personality diagnosis is, that this is just something I've always seen on a smaller scale, and that the big thing is that what you want, you get, and rules don't apply. Now, where I get frightened, I have
Just
to
to
say
clarify
this.
for our listeners, because
Yes,
again, context, you are then saying that you don't have the psychiatric study. You're not a
licenses.
licenses or you're a doctor, but you understand what a narcissist is. That's what I'm going to translate
I
for
am
you.
trying not to use terms,
Okay,
but
so
but
someone who is very egocentrical, who's only thinks of themselves.
that
Okay.
that personality trait.
Mm.
Anyway, I got where I have to just go to the segue to the other side, and that is poor Greenland
Oh,
of
geez.
57,000 people, and they're sitting there shaking in their boots. Denmark's like, wait a minute, we are both part of NATO. Like, so are we going to ruin our relationship with NATO? That's my next thing. Like Venezuela, don't think I'm even off that subject. I am shocked. I don't even know what to say. But now within a day, it's like it's come back that, oh, but we need this for our resources once again. And I just feel like, oh my gosh. And so where I was having this discussion with Maria, and I'd like to hear what you say, when you have someone in power that is like, we have a very strong country, right? So this strong person, an example, is now creating this thought with all these other unhinged, unstable
Mm,
leaders in the
yeah.
world. And it's allowing them to think, hey, the world is full of possibilities. I would like a piece of Rwanda, for instance. So I'm just going to go to Rwanda and divide it up and take the parts that I want. Like, I think it's opening the door to something. I feel very unsettled. I
Yeah.
feel very unsettled about what's going on because I think this is like, it's just, this is Pandora's box, because I think that by and large people and our leaders throughout the world, minus Putin, minus a couple of others, but most people just kind of, there is an unspoken set of societal norms, and these norms are not applying to our president, and it's scary. It's scary because we don't know what the fallout will be after. Okay,
Yeah,
done. Your turn.
it's a giant big game of risk. And remember that? You
Yes.
know, we grew up in the end of the
Dice
well, I
playing.
grew up at the end of the
I did
boomer.
too. I played it all the
And
time.
you have this game of risk, and the idea is take over the world, and bring your forces and do some negotiating and so forth, but not really. It's about taking over the world. And that's the mindset that this boomer man has come from, and where he apparently is going. Like you say, we've worked so hard to build a world community where there are basic
Allies,
laws, basic uh, understanding of what sovereignty is, and standing together, and
societal respect.
yes, and helping each other out, helping out the world, each other out in our own interest as well, for like health needs or whatever it might mean. But it's done in a way that is building the world, uh, not taking it apart. And yeah, this is a model for all that. I mean, use the threat towards. I mean, he's stated his threats.
I
The
know. I
countries that
know.
he's looking at next, and you say no to Cuba. I mean, Cuba is on that list, and you say they don't have natural resources, but that's a really great place to set up a
I know.
Mar-a-Lago and build the infrastructure. I mean,
Let's restart the
you
whole
could
mafia scene again.
Gaza, just tear it all down and put in a new Trump Mar-a-Lago, and a Vegas style thing in Gaza. I mean, he's got these brainstorm ideas that go all over the place, and when he wants it, he wants it. And
I know.
you don't know whether he's wagging the dog. So I'm doing this over here in Venezuela. I want the oil, but I'm also kind of putting everyone else. Oh, they can kind of breathe. Greenland over here can breathe. But no, 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 because it's all coming, and we're only in year one, not even year one yet.
I know. I know. I
And then
know.
you were
I
talking
know.
about, this is open Pandora's box. We've
Yes.
seen this happening, since the T-Rump version 1, and with the erosion of our cultural norms in society at a personal levels. I mean, that example that this horrible bully person who is a convicted rapist is now given as an example of how to treat.
Please don't hold back and refrain and say it gently, please.
Well, these are facts. I mean, he is a bully. He is a convicted rapist. I mean, you know, uh,
You know
it,
what's so funny, Sue?
he's done these things with all kinds of abuse with regard to business practices. He's
Yes, that
failed at
too.
business practice. All this stuff is documented. It's
I
real.
know.
It's truth. It's stuff we knew about him before. He was even made a joke of becoming the president, and then he surprisingly got it. Which anyhow, let's go back. My point being that this has really eroded our
Yeah.
society, and now at the personal level we're seeing his example is providing that for others to treat other people in that same uncivil bullying
Right.
way.
Right.
And it's we've taken away women's rights, how it affects children and education, how it has affected all of our anyone who is an immigrant. Okay, you're whether you are a U.S. citizen or not, being an immigrant, you are under suspicion and under threat and under control.
Okay.
So I
So
mean, we're yeah.
now that you brought up immigration, that's the other thing I read about, and it's true. Like, this is like supposed to be like the appetizer teaser to get all the Venezuelans back into their country, because now they will have economic freedom and hope and they can go back to their country. And so now what he's doing is helping us. And I'm wondering, I'm not even wondering. I'm speechless. Go ahead. I
Well,
just
no, so then okay, you're saying this is the idea. The argument is okay. Now the Venezuelans will go home to Venezuela, or
exactly.
if
And
they
how
don't,
many
but
Venezuelans do we have,
right,
really?
and if they don't comply, there's always El Salvador. We're going to send
Yeah.
random people, from Venezuela or any other,
Yeah.
national background to some obscure place anywhere in the world where they can lock you down and disappear you. I mean, this is it's all right.
This
So
is so
back to the whole
this
point.
hold on. This would make a really good history book. Let's fast forward 30 years. This is going to be an incredible read. Like, it's going to transform history, because kids will want to learn, like, oh my God, this is what happened. So
Well,
think about it. We are now producing from our president an incredible historic, not fiction, but a historical nonfiction book that our students are going to love to read in 30
okay,
years.
Tina,
So let's look at it from
no,
a I'm
no,
trying to make light,
I
Sue.
know,
I'm
but you're
trying to make light.
I understand, but you're feeding into what he loves. That's exactly what he wants. He wants to he wants to
Oh,
be this
oh,
and form
Sue,
this
that's
story that goes into the world and
oh,
everyone will
you're
always
right. Oh my
study him.
gosh.
It's like, no.
You're right. Oh my
No,
gosh.
that you
Oh
can't feed
my
into it.
gosh.
And I personally believe that, he didn't care much about anything except himself. And he would love to live forever. That's why he puts his name all over everything. And, it's like, no, that would be feeding into it. So
That is also
yeah,
embarrassing.
it's
Yeah.
kind of like, I like the idea of he or they that may not be, whose name may not be said. I like the Voldemort.
Yeah, me
So
too. I
let's
think
just
about
do
it all the time.
the Voldemort thing, or just
I
start
agree.
referring to T Rump as Voldemort. I mean, it suits them. I mean, you see the evil.
Similarities.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm just gonna call it the evil. I mean, all right. So let me get
All
back to
right.
what we were starting with, which was
Oh, yes. What were we? Technology?
you were talking about challenges of technology or in the shifting change of your business ventures where you're going. So clue us in, give us context, make sure our listeners are able to follow.
So, Great Dames Experiences is the business that I started with all intentions of getting former students and parents who love the language to go to Cuba and experience philanthropic experiences there and see the beauty of the culture and also give to a country that needs some giving. And as the health system and the economy and the viruses are going on, that's where I said safety is no longer there for the guests that we would bring. So we've had to put the thing on hold. And honestly, it could be years. This may be a dream that I have spent and invested money and time in that may not come to fruition while I am alive. I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? So I've had to redirect. And the redirection is now, instead of basing an entire business on another human's cooking capacity and a country that I have no control with, right? I am now having to look at myself and turn it into something. What can I do with my same name and go forward? So I am now embarking on still retreats, still teaching, but it's different. So I'm starting up where I am going to go back into teaching privately Spanish and Norwegian beginning. And I realized with excitement, I'm going to call them the language experiences, because this is not going to be your high school grammar class. This is going to be an adult class, uh, which will be fun and conversation based and just all the things I've wanted to do, where I incorporate music, but for adults. And we are going to have a cocktail, complimentary cocktail. Like, this is an adult language learning experience. So, and then same with Norwegian beginning. And then as I've been so invested in Cuba and Maria's culture, because I love Spanish, right? You and I both do, and all the cultures. I've really come these last few years to understand how much I love my own culture. So I'm investing in my own culture now, and I will be giving Norwegian experiences, Norwegian American experiences. And one of my passions has been knitting. So I will be teaching Norwegian knitting skills while we talk about heritage, go and spend time in nature. We'll be eating things that are traditional Norwegian things, and it will also be an experience. So I'm going to be really embracing my own culture. And then the last part will be based on my book, where I will be teaching women specifically, um, after you've empty nested, after you have gone through a divorce, after you have maybe been estranged from family members or your own children, after losing a job that you've loved forever, you kind of hit this place where you're unable to move forward. You're just kind of in the stage of stuck. And so my job is going to be the stepping stones I've used to get out of those situations myself, and create a life that is based on everything you were but you've lost. So I'm going to call it remember, meaning putting your body back together again, and also remembering, and then rebuilding experiences. So those are my three focuses now. Cuba, I think I can't let it go. I am going to somehow connect that old website to my new website, because I do want people, if things open up, to be interested in Cuba, because I just love it. So that's where I'm at, Sue. And now I'm having to rebuild another website, this time on my own again. So when we started talking about technology, something as simple as I had a logo. I sent it to a printing company. I've been using it. She sends me this logo in a PDF. So now I have to get this PDF in such a way that it can go into the website program. But then I have to go back and turn it into a JPEG. I have to go back and put it into a something else, but I can't tinker with it. So then I'm spending all this time redoing a brand new logo, because I can't use my old logo or tinker with it. It took like all day, and I got nowhere. And I got somewhere in that I'm creating and I'm learning how things work, but it's the smallest things that could take you a whole day and maybe
Right.
not even get through. And so this morning you entered into the conversation with technology, and that's where we're so privileged, right? Because we have the machinery, we have the brains, the technology, but it is really a hard thing to do. And yet, so on the one hand, why are we complaining? And on the other hand, it is so deep and involved, and so many steps And now I'm going to segue into the benefits of COVID for me is that it forced me to understand how to do things that I never would have been doing. And it's those skills I learned having to do everything online that it gave me the confidence to create my own website, to know that I can Google all the answers to my problems. So I just want to go back to COVID and say thank you, COVID, because I did learn technology and I'm open to knowing I can get through it. But it is hard. It is a test of patience.
That quote, "Thank you, COVID," it's kind of ironic, but okay, we understand the idea behind it. Yeah, you're doing the ultimate new tread. You have left a job, look at the job of teaching, but now you're having to leave behind this dream of your
Dream.
experience, the Cuban experiences, and move on, redirect it to something else. Kind of you had some of that already within the Cuba thing, but now you're separating the out different ventures, basically what you're going to do, your experiences. This is the ultimate new tread then. It's interesting to me. So uh, we've talked about a little bit, but there are people where you live up in the mountains that are also of Norwegian background, right? That's what you're talking about. So you're going to reach out to people in person, right? Not online or
And you know, that I think it's interesting. When I first published my book, the publisher said, "Hey, for $12,000, we'll market you, do SEO things." And my therapist at that time said, "You know what? The best thing you can do, Tina, is market for yourself because in person you're going to be able to convey things in ways you can't online." And I took that with me because I thought, you know what? She's right. I love people. I love interacting. And I think that, yeah, I'm going to throw myself into all kinds of rooms and it's going to be scary and interesting because I'm going to have to explain things clearly and with confidence and walk into rooms of unknown people and adults. So I'm going to be facing a lot of fears, but I'm also very excited about this challenge for sure. Yeah.
yeah, there's lots of layers of learning, with all the different skills you're talking about, and that's something that as retired teachers we like because our job was always so diverse and knowing not only content background and curriculum, but also how to interact with children and manage behavior, and then interact with your colleagues and administration and beyond leadership teams and I mean I'm we're just basically giving you some of the basics. There's so many more skills that you do, but this technology thing is one of those. And
One
I
piece.
it's
Yeah.
frustrating, for and it's more important in your situation when you're trying to build a job from it than what I'm having to deal with, which is for fun. This is all retirement and it's good stuff. I think it's meaningful. It's so good for us to keep learning. It makes
It
you
is, Sue.
relevant in this
Yep.
in the world,
Yep.
and not only appreciate what other people are going through and what they're doing, but to be able to participate in that in meaningful ways. Really important to do.
So I have an aha thing that I got so excited about. I had really buried my dreams of ever wanting to teach Spanish as a language again, especially after my last experience. And then I realized teaching should always move. Life changes. And this particular place wanted me to use this 25-year-old text. I got stacks of all the leftover copies. Please use these, stay with the book, put in the cassette. And so this is where I got excited because I realized when I thought, wait a minute, I am my own boss and I know how people acquire language. I have stayed current, I've done updated trainings, and now I get to apply what I know and I have seen as a language acquisition teacher. And now I get to do the thing. I'm not following somebody else's rules. It's archaic and dated. And because my other teacher didn't want to change, right? She wanted to continue doing the same lesson she
Right.
had for 25 years and was trying to put that upon me. And I realized, wait a minute, that is the beauty of creating your own business because now I started to get excited because I thought, wait a minute, what am I good at? Oh my God, it's like creating an experience. So imagine coming in and having a cocktail with a teacher who's enthusiastic. I get to speak the language, have them repeat. It's a small group. Everybody that's there is a paying customer who wants to be there. And in fact, I even spent yesterday making a screener asking what it is they are willing to do, because I only want committed people. I don't want half-hearted people. I want people who want to move forward, and to show up and do the thing. And if they do, they will be rewarded, because what I will be offering is going to be fun. And I'm excited, and I started getting more and more excited because I realized this is my oyster. I get to curate it. I get to determine who's there, who's not, and what we're going to do. And what I do know, Sue, and you've seen this part of me, and I've seen it in you. When we love what we do, it's infectious.
It's true.
People are going to want to be there because I'm going to be excited, because now I have the freedom and creativity to do how I want to teach it. And I would like to say thank you for our former colleague, and who is now principal of a school who I would have been proud to work for, Mele, who took us on these trainings to get us updated on how to teach language. And now I have done everything I can to try and use it in my lessons, and I finally get to apply it now. That's what I'm looking forward to, is all that training to apply it and see how it works. So there we go.
So this episode's been quite interesting. We've had a big rant about politics, and then we've had a redirection towards your Great Dame's experiences and looking what the future might be. It's kind of appropriate to looking at the new year and figuring out some new things to do, new ways to approach it, and then politically, I don't know what direction we're looking, but anyhow.
I think that everything is about mindset, and we can go down negative paths and see the world as small, or we can open up to the world being big with possibility. And that's where I have to continue to keep going. And when you open it up, now, yes, Sue, I see the look in your eyeballs. There are some things we cannot control. There are some things we can't. So we have to work within what we can and
Okay.
see what we can't. Oh, God.
Okay, I accept exactly what you're saying at a personal level, and then outside of that, this big it's not even like minor stuff. In
No,
the
I know.
past, this would have been one
Big
little
thing.
incident of this would have been enough to so you being
Catastrophically changed the world.
yeah, being in the world and of the world, you do need to participate and pay attention and understand what's going on and stand up for other people and do what we can to turn things towards the positive, um, to continue to educate ourselves, understand what's going on, and participate. And at the same time, live your life and try to move forward. I mean, you got to make a living, so you've got to get out there and do that. And you
I
can't
do.
get overwhelmed by that, but by
No.
the others. So it's while you're living in this giant umbrella of the world and life that goes on outside of ourselves, pay attention to that, learn, participate. But then you've also got to take care of yourself under that umbrella. So,
I realized, hold on. Well, I should really promote my own book because I think it's good. I think it's good in that it shows that you can make it through some horrific things that you don't think you can make it through, and that you can still come out the other side shining. And on that note, my book aside, I want to show you and I want to tempt you. This is my latest book. Our other colleague, Maite, recommended it. We love Gary Zukav. This may be, it's called The Mind of the Soul, Responsible Choice. Again, Gary Zukav and his wife, Linda Francis. If I had to do a spiritual self-help book, this is the most basic of all basic. It's like the Four Agreements. This book is all about making choices through awareness, and that those choices, both good and bad, will create good and bad consequences, if I had to sum it up. And that every experience that we have here is a learning opportunity. And that's why we are on this planet, is to learn, evolve, and grow. And so back to this whole thing, and it's going to come back to our wonderful example of how to be positive under a leadership that is not so positive. This book is all about Sue. If we live our best self lives, if everyone were to live your best life, it would be infectious, and it'd be like little popcorn kernels popping everywhere, and then we take over the world with popcorn. But it starts with us. So if we can create a good life for ourselves and enter the world every day as positive and as authentically as we can, it spreads. It spreads. And eventually that takes over. The good takes over, not the bad. But there have to be enough of us willing to focus our lives on what we can do to create a good place, at least in our environment. And it's the ripple effect. I don't know. I don't see it on your face that you agree with me, but if those of you that are listening want an uplifting, you've got some control over your life, this book helps.
Delightful. We'll keep that optimistic tone here towards the end, and wish you all the best as we continue and move beyond the rant and everything else. Okay. Thanks for listening. Now let's pack up this week's episode in the trunk.
Ride shotgun and be a part of our adventure by clicking on the plus sign to subscribe and follow our show. This will help our ratings and, more importantly, inspire us to keep creating fun and engaging content. We would love to hear from you in the comments sections or email us at retiredpodcastnewtread@gmail.com. Use the fast track lane by sharing episodes with friends, family, and anyone who would like to join us on a road trip through re-tirement.
Be sure to check the show notes for links and contact information. Retired is chauffeured by Sue Britz and Tina Lokkbakk. It is produced, directed, and edited by me, Sue Britz. Music and graphics are by me, too. Buckle up and tune in next week so that you won't miss your chance to join our retired road trip.